So my SIM card has been nestled ever so snugly inside of the frankly gigantic Google Pixel 7 Pro for just over a week now, and ordinarily I'd be about ready to spank out my full review. However, in just the past couple of days, the Pixel 7 Pro has received some pretty whopping great updates which have changed the game quite considerably, so a review seems kind of premature right now. And to avoid blowing my load too early, here's a kind of review looking at the camera tech, the Tensor G2 performance, the battery life and other bits that I'm not actually calling a review in a completely non-committal kind of way until I actually spend a bit more time with this big shiny bugger. Don't worry though, as ever, it is still hot content. Look, it's so hot that my testicles have just spontaneously burst into flames. That's how much I love you guys, even slightly singed nads aren't enough to stop me. So let's start with Google's design, and I'm certainly not a fan of big phones, but the skinny, curvy finish of the Pixel 7 Pro means that it is comfortable to clutch. You don't have any ridiculous flat iPhone style edging. There are a few problems with the look and feel of the Pixel 7 Pro, one of them being that this black model is an absolute grease magnet. It picks up fingerprints and stuff so easily to the point where I'm now super paranoid that I've got excessively oily digits. So top tip, the lighter models of the Pixel 7 series smartphones do seem to hide those greasy prints a lot more successfully, so if it's going to bother you, maybe go for one of those. Also, the Pixel 7 Pro is big and heavy and very slippery indeed. Somehow I've managed to avoid dropping it thus far. That is helped along by the big old camera bump up top, which proves quite a handy little finger rest right there. That also helps to prevent the Pixel 7 Pro from sliding off the arm of a sofa when you stick it on there as well. So that's a bit of extra grip. While I have managed to avoid dropping the Pixel 7 Pro, unfortunately the Gorilla Glass Victus screen and that arse end are starting to show signs of light scratching already. That's after just a week of use. And we're talking pretty subtle light scratching that you have to, properly look for in order to find, but it is most definitely there. I almost just dropped it then. So if you want to keep your shiny, expensive new investment looking box fresh, I would highly recommend slapping on a screen protector and some sort of case or cover, even though that would mask up the otherwise pretty damn attractive design. As for the in-display fingerprint sensor, well, that works really well here on the Pixel 7 Pro, just like the Pixel 6a and entirely unlike the Pixel 6. And hallelujah, glory, glory be, Face Unlock. We've actually finally got Face Unlock. We might have had to wait for it a long bloody time, but it's here and it actually works just as you would expect it to, whether it's light, whether it's dark, if you're wearing glasses, you're not wearing glasses. Sometimes the Pixel 7 Pro has to think about it a little bit before it finally unlocks, but it always gets there. However, unfortunately, the Face Unlock isn't quite accurate enough here so you can use it for mobile payments or for logging into other apps. It can only be used to unlock the handset. As for that 6.7-inch OLED screen, well, what can I say except it's an absolute ruddy stunner. Just remember to dive on into the display settings and enable Quad HD Plus resolution to really unlock the full potential, and when you do, your eyeballs will be feasted upon bright, poppy, gorgeous visuals, sharp contrast, deep blacks. And yes, that display does curve ever so subtly around the left and right edges of the Pixel 7 Pro, but thankfully I've had absolutely no issues with screen responsiveness this past week, even when I'm holding this thing in an absolute death grip, which I often do because it's so big and heavy, and especially if I'm reclining on a sofa or in bed or something like that, you better believe I'm holding this thing tight, because if I fumble and drop it, it's probably going to crush my f***ing nose. Those speakers are worth a shout out too, easily powerful enough to enjoy a podcast, a show, whatever you want when you're cooking in the kitchen, banging shit and making a hell of a racket. So now let's wend our merry way onto performance, and the Pixel 7 Pro is running Google's fresh new Tensor G2 chipset, once again co-collaborated with Samsung. It's backed here on the Pro by 12 gigs of DDR5 RAM, and it's rocking that Mali G710 GPU, which is upgraded over the old Mali on the original Tensor chipset, so gaming and the rest should be better here on the Pixel 7 Pro compared with the older Pixel 6 series. Now, when I did my unboxing just over a week ago, things clearly weren't quite right. Whenever I bumped up the graphics settings on Genshin Impact to higher levels, the Pixel 7 Pro acted like it had just smashed back half a bottle of white lightning. It was properly stumbling all over the place when that action got a bit tasty. However, flash forward a week and various updates later, and thankfully now the gaming performance is a lot smoother even on those maxed out levels. So clearly some little tinkering, optimization, etc. has been done in the background, and that seems to have sorted it right out. Phew. I still don't think it's as smooth a performance as you'll get from the likes of Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset, but at least it is more respectably flagship now. And also, as far as the connectivity goes, no problems on the Wi-Fi front. You've got up to Wi-Fi 6E performance here. Downloads things super nippy over my home network, even when I'm a fair distance away from the router. And the 5G support has been absolutely fine as well. Now, one of the advantages of the Pixel 7 Pro being such a beefcake is the fact that it's got a 5000 mAh battery stuffed inside of that gigantic frame. But despite this, again, for the first few days I was using the Pixel 7 Pro, that battery life was a massive disappointment. We're not quite talking Brangelina splitting up here, more kind of the disappointment you feel when you're about to consume a modern-sized chocolate bar. Like, seriously, people, this is not a toffee crisp. This is a toffee crisp if some alien came along with one of those shrink ray guns and blasted the living shit out of it. If I wanted to actually form a proper chocolate bar, I'd have to sellotape about 5 of these bastards together. Stop ruining our f***ing kit. But I digress. The good news is that over the past few days and with the subsequent updates, that battery life has improved dramatically. In that really short space of time, it's basically gone from the life expectancy of a steak bake loving northerner with beer for blood to a plant munching fitty who shuns the booze for kale juice smoothies and who does squat thrusts for fun. So nowadays you can expect around 6 to 7 hours of full-on screen-on time from a full charge before the Pixel 7 Pro finally bites the dust, and that's with a good bit of camera play, bit of gaming, bit of video streaming, all that good stuff. And yes, that is with all of the biggest power sapping features switched on as well. So on the display I've got the Quad HD Plus resolution active, 120Hz refresh, always on display, fully on, apart from at night because that would be a bit weird. As for the camera tech, well, deja vu if you've got a Pixel 6, because it's once again a 50 megapixel Octa PD quad beer camera with optical image stabilization slapped on here. Although if you've seen my side-by-side comparison of the Pixel 7 Pro and the Pixel 6a, you'll see there's not a massive gulf between them at all when it comes to photo capture. In fact, it's a very narrow gap, slightly more accurate colors here on the Pixel 7 Pro and slightly less noise in lower light conditions, but otherwise, both phones are capable of producing stellar looking shots both day and night. And of course, the Pixel 6a is considerably cheaper. But the big upgrade for the Pro model is that 48 megapixel telephoto lens with 5x optical zoom and optical image stabilization. When you're capturing a photo between the 2.5x and 5x zoom levels, a photo from the primary and the telephoto camera will automatically be captured and combined to boost the detail levels. And when you pinch in over 5x zoom, it's telephoto all the way. The results are simply outstanding. This has to be one of the best telephoto lenses out there, easily a rival for the space zoom shenanigans on Samsung's Galaxy S22 Ultra. Other new bits here include the cinematic mode, which adds a bokeh style effect behind your subject, although this can get a little bit confused when the subject turns or moves about the place, resulting in quite crappy looking footage. As for the motion stuff, well, action pan is still quite shonky and a bit pointless, and the long exposure can give you that funky motion blur without having to use a tripod. It works pretty well, although personally I can't really see the point of it again. The Pixel 7 Pro also boasts an exclusive macro mode, so when you get really close to something, it will automatically swap to the ultra-wide angle shooter which has autofocus, so you can snap that macro pic of yours. And it does a decent job if extreme close-ups are your bag. And then of course there's that fresh new photo on blur feature which is tucked away in the edit tools in Google Photos, and I was struggling to test this out because I could not get a blurry photo out of the Pixel 7 Pro even when my daughter was jumping around like an absolute frickin' mentalist off her tits on lemon sherbet. Thankfully though, you do still get blurry shots in very low light conditions with the moving subject, and I tried out the unblur and it made a bit of a difference. It wasn't quite perfect as you would imagine, but it's one of those features that will probably evolve and improve over time. And then you've also got that 10.8 megapixel fixed focus selfie cam, which again is absolutely fine, if not one of the best efforts out there. Certainly the likes of Samsung and Apple can generally churn out better looking selfies. Personally, I don't really give a shit, but whatever, if you care, then yeah. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the Pixel 7 Pro after using it as my full-time smartphone for a week. As I say, the experience has changed quite considerably over those past few days, and I'm sure that Google will be updating it further before it actually goes on sale here in the UK. Hence, I'm holding off for my full in-depth proper official review for now. But hopefully that gives you more of an idea of what to expect from the Pixel 7 Pro if you have slapped your pre-order in. And certainly I am enjoying it despite the fact it's freaking massive. I'm definitely looking forward to testing out the standard Pixel 7 a bit more, especially as it comes in at that affordable £599 asking price. So that's enough for me. banging on. What do you lovely people at home think? It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone. Love you.